Marcus Freeman met with the media on Monday, December 23rd to talk about many items. We're going to talk about the key things in this video with Jack Sobel, who was in the room for Freeman's press conference. Folks, before we dive into it, please hit the thumbs up on this video, subscribe to the YouTube channel for more content, and of course, head over to blueandgold.com for much more coverage on your Fighting Irish. Let's go through the injuries, kind of the big news updates there. Jack, I'm going to give you a name. You give me the latest. Let's start with Charles Jagasaw, interestingly enough.
Yeah, Charles Jagasaw, who, if you recall, tore his pectoral muscle during fall camp. I think the date was August 6th. He was the projected starting left tackle, but he will be back available. In what capacity, we don't know, but he'll be available.
Some not so good news. Riley Mills,
Yeah.
Jack. This is the news that you did not want to hear. This is the one you were most concerned about. Riley Mills we're not going to see him again.
It's devastating. Mills is out for the season. We'll talk more about it shortly, but he is done. He will not play again in the college football playoff.
Rocco Spindler?
Spindler questionable.
So see, Mark Freeman said we'll see how he progresses here soon. KVA, I personally thought he was going to be out for a while. His mom posted on Twitter that he's going to travel to the Sugar Bowl. She didn't say if he's going to play. She put that on Twitter. Another questionable one. So that I feel like that's a good update on him.
Yeah, KVA also questionable. Freeman said he's going to practice for the first time since injuring. I believe it was a knee sprain. So he'll practice for the first time this week. He got clearance from the doctors to do that. They're going to see how good he looks in practice and go from there.
Bodie Cahoon, KK Smith, more reserve/depth guys. They're questionable. And then you have Bryce Young. He was not even on the injury report, which was like, okay, so is that assuming he's good to go? Tyler Hork, our colleague, asked Freeman essentially, and Freeman confirmed he's going to play. That's a really good update.
Yeah, Bryce Young is going to play. I think they gave a pretty comprehensive injury report, so he wasn't on it. So I think we're good assuming that he's good to go. And obviously, they need the pass rush juice with Mills out, and Young provided plenty of that with that. I believe his first career solo sack against Indiana.
Yeah, definitely. Notre Dame needs the pass rush from the front four guys. I mean, RJ Oben, 0 sacks this season. Good for Bryce Young to get a sack from that position. Jack, I'm curious, how much does Notre Dame losing Riley Mills impact their chances to beat Georgia, in your opinion? This is a huge loss. I mean, in terms of which losses for Notre Dame, if you had a player go down with an injury, would impact the Irish the most? I feel like Mills is that easily in your top 5.
Oh, 100%. He was so important to this team for so many reasons. Number one, let's start with on the field. He was playing terrific football. He had a couple of really nice run stops against Indiana. I mean, he anchors that defensive line. He's huge. He'd been translating that into some exceptional pass rush. I thought he had the best individual game of any Notre Dame player this season with 3 sacks against Florida State. And he really, really, really stepped it up this year. Is playing the best football of his college career. That college career, of course, is over. Devastating news for Notre Dame. And in a larger scale, you've now lost probably 3 of your 4 best defensive linemen heading into the season. Jordan Botelho has been out since week 3. Boubacar Traore since week 5. Riley Mills since now. And here's for a point of reference. I believe Boubacar Traore is still 3rd on the team in tackles for loss and tied for 3rd in sacks with Donovan Heinisch. It's a huge, huge loss.
Yeah.
Off the field, though, you've now lost 2 of your 5 captains. And I actually asked Freeman about this, and he said it's similar to how you handle post NIU, in that when times are toughest, you need to pick yourselves up, and that's what they're going to do. But it's just a huge loss on the field and also from a leadership standpoint.
Ben Morrison, of course, the other captain that's out. Where do you expect Notre Dame to go from here? Are we going to see Rubio slide into that role?
I personally would go with Rubio. I think that's what they're going to do. They started Donovan Heinisch in place of Cross at nose tackle. I think you have to go with Rubio for the size aspect. Because Rubio's played more 3 technique this year. You'd have 2 nose tackles and Cross and Heinisch in the lineup. Number 2, because Rubio is a big dude who does really well against the run, and that complements Howard Cross's strength. He's the shorter, quicker guy. But against this Georgia offensive line, I think Tim Hyde pointed this out on Twitter. They have some huge guards. They are a big offensive line that loves to run the football. They've done it well, particularly given the defenses they've gone against all season. That if Georgia's going to win this game on offense, they're going to run the ball, and Notre Dame now has a lower chance of stopping the run with Riley Mills out.
Yeah, just from like a talent thing, it hurts Mills being out, but just specifically the matchup against Georgia really stings. So going back to Jagasaw, Freeman said you asked him about Jagasaw specifically. He said, "quote hasn't been practicing much, going to figure out his best position in terms of like, I guess it could be translated as long term, but for the next week or so." So, I mean, could you see a situation where if Spindler can't play, we could see Jagasaw?
Yeah, I could. Honestly, I could. I think if Spindler can go, that's your starting lineup. You're not going to mess with the offensive line that's been playing really good football. And also, as they've said repeatedly, going back to fall camp, like the offensive line is a position where if you have five guys and you can roll with them every game, you do that because it's a very continuity and chemistry based group. But what five playing as one is a phrase you'll hear a lot in this building and many others around the country in college football. So if Spindler is healthy, there's your five. You're obviously not. You're not taking Anthony Knapp out of the lineup right now. You're certainly not taking Emil Wagner out of the lineup right now. Particularly because like while Jagasaw they thought he was their best offensive tackle heading into the season, he hasn't played. It's obviously different than like if last year you lose Joe Alt for the season and he comes back for the playoffs. It's obviously Jagasaw was not an established starter, if that makes sense. But he's obviously a very talented football player. And if he shows in practice that Spindler's out and he's your best option at right guard, there's no reason not to do that. So I think I'm interested to see how this line shakes out because I think you could see Spindler if he's healthy, but also either Sam Pendleton or Charles Jagasaw in there at right guard.
Yeah, I was about to say Pendleton's going to have something to say about this whole thing. By the way, if for folks wondering about Jeremiah Love, he was playing with flu-like symptoms. Flu-like symptoms. His dad tweeted about that after the game, and Freeman confirmed it as well. So a warrior-like performance, a little Jordan flu game-esque thing from Jeremiah Love there. Wrapping up, Freeman talked some about Georgia. We'll hear more from Freeman in the next 9 days or so until the Sugar Bowl on January 1st, 8:45 p.m. Eastern time. Jack will be there along with some other blue and gold staffers. But he talked about Gunnar Stockton, the quarterback who we were expecting to replace Carson Beck, and said he doesn't see Georgia's offense being too different with Stockton replacing Beck.
Yeah, Freeman. That's typically the line Freeman will go to when you have a backup quarterback situation. He said the same thing about USC's offense with Jaden Mayava in there. But with Stockton, the things he pointed out was the competitiveness. If you know Marcus Freeman, you know the first thing he will always point out is the competitiveness. You see when you see Stockton celebrate at the end of the Texas game, something that he specifically mentioned. I was impressed with. He also was asked about Georgia's linebacker Jalen Walker, the Butkus Award winner. He said he's a problem for them. You can't get around linebackers, and this is obviously a linebacker guy in Freeman talking, but he said you can't get around linebackers as an offense. You got to attack them. So that's obviously something Notre Dame will deal with. And again, we're going to hear a lot about Georgia, like you said, in the next 10 days or so, nine days maybe until the Sugar Bowl. But those were the two he touched on today.
Folks, please hit the thumbs up on this video. Of course, subscribe to the channel for more content. We'll have more, much more coverage of Notre Dame and Georgia leading up to that Sugar Bowl. National guys we'll have a Georgia reporter on. Of course, you'll see myself, Tyler, Jack, Kyle, Tim, Goolsby, all those guys before the matchup. So again, hit that thumbs up, folks. And as always, we will catch you next time.